Hi everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about AI and the death of the career ladder by Patrick Boyle, which is a guy that I've been following for quite some time now. He's quite experienced in economics. It's interesting to us because cybersecurity jobs are not going away anytime soon. So let's just dive right into it.
decades, a clear promise defined For decades, a clear promise defined the aspirations of young adults worldwide. If you went to university, even if you accumulated some debt, you got a ticket to the middle class. That ticket guaranteed a white-collar job and a salary premium over non-graduates. It also paved the way to home ownership. That promise has been broken. The golden ticket turned out to just be a coupon for 10% off a student loan.
Some time ago, I thought that this happened only in Italy, but actually, this is something that's been happening throughout the world. Where in the 70s, our parents used to tell us that if we got a degree, then we would have had a stable job, a stable career, which apparently hasn't been the case for at least 20 years now.
We're witnessing a rare economic shift. A growing economy usually rewards the effort taken to get an education. Yet today the economy has been expanding while the door for graduate employment has been closing. In May 2024, Oxford Economics reported a statistic that defines this new era. For the first time in 45 years, the unemployment rate for recent graduates in the United States exceeded the national average.
It's not only the United States. It's also been the case in Italy, and since people that are watching Primary and Security Global, are coming from all around the world, you can either confirm or disprove that's also the case in your home country.
Now, while this isn't great, it's by no means a disaster either, as US unemployment, while rising, is still hovering near all-time lows. This inversion is
Hello, Dabby. You were thinking about me? Yeah, I was waiting for you on the other Italian channel. You weren't there today.
partially a story of supply. In 1960, only about 5% of young people in the UK went to university. By 2007, that figure had risen to 43%.
That's it. That's basically supply and demand. The reason why graduating was so important 20 years ago is that simply not many people could afford to do so. In fact, people in the medical professions are still getting paid much more because the actual path, the actual years of study that you need to face to become, for example, a surgeon is very high, and not many families are able to pay for the education for such a long time.
The United States saw a similar trajectory, with the share of adults holding a degree jumping from 7.7% in 1960.
Which is also the reason why I never graduated. Also in Italy we have very old curricula that go back centuries, that are very outdated. Which means you will be studying lots of the stuff that you will never really need in a job. And I'm not talking about literature, I'm talking about computer science, for example.
To nearly 38% in 2023. The degree, which was once a rare signal of elite capability, has become a baseline expectation. As scarcity disappeared,
Spoilers, the solution, it's get good. It's get good and satisfy the needs of the market and get better than everyone else. Doesn't matter if you get a degree or not. You gotta be better than everyone else, and you gotta be able to make the company you're working for money. That's all there is.
so did the pay premium. It's not just the number of graduates that have been growing either. There's been grade inflation too. In the UK, for example, the proportion of students awarded a first-class degree went from 7% in the mid-90s to 26% today. The problem with grade inflation like this is that if everyone is special, no one is. In September 2025, unemployment amongst 20 to 24-year-olds in the United States.
You can preach equality all you want. In the world, everything is structured in hierarchies.
Hit 9.2%, rising sharply from 7% a year earlier. Broader data from Bloomberg reveals that Americans with four-year degrees now account for more than 25% of all unemployed workers. This ratio has climbed to an all-time high, surpassing
in hard sciences too. It's not just literature and art degrees.
Even the temporary peak reached during the pandemic layoffs of March 2020. The crisis can be seen in the frantic activity required to just stand still. According to High Flyers research, final year students in the UK now make an average of 21.7 job applications each. This nearly doubles the number of applications made just 2 years ago in 2020.
To get a job fast in Italy, everything is slow here. You gotta send about 400 job applications and then they're all gonna reply in 3 months.
23, yet success rates have plummeted to their lowest levels in 3.
W asks how long ago this video was published. It's about 3 days ago. It's 3 days ago.
3 decades. Only 27% of UK final year students had a job lined up by February 2025, down from 33% 2 years earlier. Graduate job postings have plummeted in key sectors, falling 78% in human resources, 46% in marketing, and 42% in accounting. While this is happening, the supply of graduates keeps rising, with over 465,000 finishing their first degree in the UK last year. John Byrne-Murdoch, the chief data reporter at the FT, highlights that the most striking feature of this new landscape is the gendered nature of the divide. The collapse in graduate hiring has hit young men the hardest. Detailed employment data from the US reveals that the unemployment rate for recent male graduates has jumped from under 5% to 7% over the last year. For female graduates, the rate remains unchanged. Women gained 135,000 jobs last year, including nearly 50,000 in healthcare alone. Men cluster in fields like tech,
also called equality,
and finance. These sectors have been purging entry-level roles after pandemic-era hiring binges. They are...
In the light of everything that is saying, do you realize how much gender pay gaps are full of shit because they do not take into account what's the job title or even the industry? So fucking stupid. Yeah, and we'll see soon that it's also because of AI that's crushing entry-level jobs, basically.
Also aggressively embracing automation. Large language models now perform tasks young men were once hired to do, such as writing basic code, analyzing spreadsheets, and managing data.
Yeah, that's the reason why I always absolutely cringe when I see people on my channel that are very young, that are very enthusiastic about LLMs. Why are you enthusiastic about them? They're stealing your jobs. They will not be stealing mine because I am experienced at this point, but you're fucked. You should hate LLMs. And the only people that are enthused by them are people that are noobs. Now, you just gotta work harder than everyone else and you always get on top.
Bloomberg reported last month that OpenAI had hired more than 100 ex-investment bankers to train its AI on how to build financial models, as it looks to replace the hours of grunt work performed by junior bankers across the industry. Before I get to that, let me tell you about today's video sponsor, Shop. There is some good news that hiring in tech is not as bad as it was a year ago. A viewer sent me this Instagram post during the week of a guy with a double major from Stanford in mathematics and computer science finding a job as a professional basketball player. So there are jobs out there. While tech hiring in general remains sluggish, down roughly 20% from pre pandemic levels, according to LinkedIn, there has been some bounce back, and specific high skill areas are showing growth. Demand for AI developers and cybersecurity specialists is stabilizing.
Let me stress that cybersecurity specialists. Why? Well, training the models is obvious. Companies are using LLMs more and more, but what about the cybersecurity specialists? Well, LLMs, chatbots are written on top of older technologies, on top of the stack, which will inevitably inherit all of the vulnerabilities that belong to further down the stack. Prompt injection is becoming more and more prevalent. LLMs are not capable of understanding context. They're not able to be creative, which is one of the most important aspects of being an ethical hacker, a penetration tester. So you will never be replaced. Also because it requires quite the skill. You need to be very skilled to be a penetration tester. That's never going away. Never.
The market now prioritizes precision over volume. Companies are recruiting smaller, specialized teams that combine technical expertise with business acumen. Women who have not been hit as hard dominate sectors that remain stubbornly human. Healthcare alone added more jobs for young female graduates last year than all other sectors combined added for men. An aging population requires care, and automation struggles with this type of task. Consequently, the advice for the next generation is to pay attention to demographics so that you can be ahead of the big trends shaping the workplace. On-the-job training has long depended on repetitive work. Junior lawyers spent their first few years reviewing thousands of pages of contracts, while accountants checked audit logs. Junior investment bankers spent years building Excel models and PowerPoint slideshows for pitches. This work, while tedious, served a critical function. By grinding through this repetitive work for years, juniors both proved themselves and learned how to do their job well. Artificial intelligence has started to sever this link. According to the FT, at Simmons & Simmons, a UK-based international law firm, a custom AI tool named Percy now handles document review and legal summarization. Presumably, the first thing Percy worked out was how to make a font size small enough so that the disclaimer doesn't seem longer than the document. And the second was how to bill 26 hours in a 24-hour day. Based on that alone, Percy is already partner material. Some of the basic tasks that AI is being used for at law firms once taught the trade to fleets of trainee lawyers. Juniors have now begun evolving from doers generating first drafts into checkers verifying AI output. But verifying the soundness of a contract or the security of a piece of code requires judgment, and the problem is that fresh graduates rarely possess this skill. Discernment
So yeah, long story short, if you're just starting out, you're fucked.
requires experience, but companies are increasingly reluctant to provide that experience. This technological shift towards AI has started.
The industry is big. You will always find smaller companies looking for people. If you want to get in and start your career as a junior developer, as a help desk customer service that's been serviced by AI sucks. Absolutely. I hate it. I always try to get to talk to a person because it's lame.
Breaking the hiring process too. Generative AI allows applicants to spam hundreds of custom cover letters and resumes out to hiring firms with a single click. The Economist describes how a good cover letter used to help distinguish between high and low quality applicants. Employers now, flooded with indistinguishable applications,
Yeah, you're gonna become good at marketing. It's multi-channel marketing. You send a cover letter, you call them by phone, you reach them out on LinkedIn, you send an email. You gotta learn a couple new things if you wanna be successful in this business, bucko.
struggle to differentiate between candidates. This creates a classic lemons problem, a concept introduced by the economist George Akerlof in 1970. In Akerlof's model, when buyers can't distinguish between high-quality goods, or peaches, and low-quality goods, lemons, a slang term in America for a car that's found to be defective after it's been bought, their fear of buying a lemon drives down the price they're willing to pay. This drives sellers of high-quality goods out of the market, leaving only lemons. In the graduate job market, the goods are job applications. When employers are flooded with thousands of AI-generated, indistinguishable cover letters, they lose the ability to identify the high-quality candidates who invested time and effort. The signal is drowned out by noise. Just as buyers in Akerlof's market stopped buying used cars, employers are stopping the open hiring process. They retreat to offline networks and nepotism to find people they feel they can trust. The issue is,
Call me a prophet. What I just said. Call them. Go to the company physically to talk to people. To talk to people. That's what you gotta do. Or you have to network with people that already work at the company. It's always been that way since the internet was first invented. People get discouraged when they hear this news, but you just gotta be faster, stronger, smarter than everyone else. It's a competition. It's supply and demand. You gotta learn how to sell yourself, how to sell your skills.
that if everyone sounds perfect on paper, the only signal left is a personal introduction. New technology is just one factor compounding the pressure on young job seekers. It joins a perfect storm of macroeconomic forces that make novice employees a potential financial liability. Firms are dealing with constantly changing tariff rules in the United States, the biggest consumer market in the world. American firms don't know what their raw materials will cost or if the consumer will accept higher prices. They have no idea what their margins will be either, if they might have to swallow some of the cost increase. Foreign firms don't know if they'll be able to export at all or if they'll face higher competition in their domestic markets from redirected Chinese exports. When a company has no visibility as to what their costs will be or what demand will look like, they often freeze up. They postpone big decisions until they have greater visibility. The constantly changing nature of these tariffs makes the situation particularly difficult for businesses and is likely reducing growth both at US-based firms and international firms. Recent analysis from Goldman Sachs adds
I know absolutely jack shit about macroeconomy. Macroeconomy. How the hell do you pronounce that in English? I studied a little bit of microeconomics, because it's immediately useful. Tariffs. I know absolutely jack shit about that, but hey, who else do you know that actually does react videos to this kind of stuff? No one. Gossip, drama, bullshit, react videos. Well, they got millions of views, of course.
weight to this gloomy outlook. Their researchers found that private
This guy doesn't make... This is not the guy that panics. This is a very, very cold, analytical guy. But no one is able to predict the future. No one is. But he studied enough to be able to predict it quite accurately. Now it's been so far a threat to very entry-level kind of jobs, the ones that deal with volume, that don't require much analytical thinking. The problem is that if you don't get in a company as an entry level professional, you'll never, as you said, you'll never have the experience needed to move on to the next level. So we're trying to figure out how to move from here, what to do,
Sector layoff
what the next step is.
announcements in October reached their highest level on record outside of a recession. Furthermore, warn notices, which companies must file before mass layoffs, have ticked up to levels not seen since 2016. While initial jobless claims remain low, these leading indicators suggest that the US labor market is weakening. All of this uncertainty has led to a great freeze in the broader job market. We're seeing a low hire, low fire dynamic, which has been termed job hugging, where incumbent employees stay put, reducing the churn that typically opens up entry-level spots at firms. With quit rates falling, the ladder is getting blocked somewhat from the top down. Governments around the world have been busy raising minimum wages to combat the cost of living crisis. While the US minimum wage has stayed low, higher minimum wages have been imposed by many states.
We never had this. We never had the minimum wage in Italy. I don't think we ever will.
The Economist recently wrote about how academics have recently been getting cold feet about the effects of high minimum wages. While they may help the lowest earners, they fundamentally alter the calculus of hiring. By lifting the pay floor for entry-level workers closer to that of experienced staff, these policies may have inadvertently erased the distinction between the two groups. In the past, a lower starting salary offset the cost of on-the-job training. Today, graduates are more expensive. When the cost of an inexperienced worker rivals that of a worker with a few years of experience, the rational employer chooses the proven candidate every time. Since trainees can't generate immediate value to justify their new price tag, firms close the door to hiring them. The Economist quotes a paper by Hannah Farkas of Columbia University, who found that
so companies that, countries that don't have minimum wages, that kinda exploit people and underpay them. I don't think you'll see this problem. I didn't see problems with hires in Italy because the salaries are always low.
increases in the wage floor led employers to making working schedules less predictable and the work less safe, with a higher incidence of workplace injuries. In effect, they make the job worse to compensate for it paying more. This all leaves graduates in a precarious position, where they face a frozen job market while grappling with the highest living costs in a generation. Inflation has eroded their purchasing power. Housing costs have skyrocketed in the cities where jobs exist.
Oh yeah, contratti collettivi in Italy. But they always try to pay the minimum possible. The possible minimum wage that they can pay, doesn't matter how experienced you are. Which is the reason why we have they call it the brain drain abroad, but they call it the escape of the brains in Italy. Fuga dei cervelli.
And many carry significant student debt. They're priced out of employment by wage floors and priced out of life by the cost of living. Employers increasingly retreat to offline hiring and personal networks. This disadvantages working class graduates who have fewer family connections with the ability to influence hiring decisions. The trust between recruiter and applicant has evaporated due to the use of AI systems. Faced with 21.7
Congratulations, fucking morons, using ChatGPT on in the hiring process. And I've seen some TikTok reels, TikTok shorts where people were, so smug and self-satisfied because they were creating CVs and cover letters and even replying to the interview questions with ChatGPT, they were so self-satisfied, but they were acting like complete fucking morons. Because how is the interviewer able to actually grasp if you're any good, if you're basically lying? So they stopped trusting people, and so remote jobs, because of these fucking losers, are basically dying. Could be very well on the way to just give up and die. You'll have to actually go there, live in the same country where you will be working, because of these, goddamn morons that are cheating at the interviews.
Applications per student, many generated by AI bots, recruiters turn off the fire hose. Students see the door closing and respond by buying a bigger key. Enrollment in master's programs has skyrocketed in recent years. It's like trying to fix a leak in your boat by drilling another hole to let the water out. If your bachelor's in history didn't get you a job, surely a master's in advanced history will convince OpenAI that you can write code. Fear is one of the drivers of the growth in advanced degree programs, but the returns to earning a master's degree have started.
You gotta learn sales. You gotta study sales. That's how you get out of it. You gotta improve your soft skills. You gotta get out there. You gotta get to know people. You gotta be better than everyone else. That's how you increase the chances of being hired. Also, getting your presence out there with social media accounts, doing shorts, promoting yourself.
Drinking too. Research shows that 40% of US master's programs deliver no real financial benefit. In Britain, graduates with master's degrees often earn similar salaries to those with a bachelor's degree by age 35. Students have found themselves in an arms race of credentials that devalues the very qualifications that they chase. Not all degrees are created equal, however. Analysis by the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity, a US-based think tank, highlights a stark divide. While engineering, nursing, and economics degrees can offer a lifetime return on investment of over $500,000, degrees in creative arts, social care, agriculture, English, philosophy, education, and psychology frequently result in a negative financial return.
Well,
the
no
ticket to the
shit.
middle class is no longer a generic degree, it's a specific market-aligned skill set. According to researchers,
Yeah, what is it? It's sales, business, IT, cybersecurity, the medical field, bioengineering. I mean, you can be successful. I mean, what do you mean by successful? Getting paid $20 an hour. Yeah, that will be considered successful in Italy, but when compared to the rest of the world, our middle class is basically poor. Being middle class in Italy in this current era is just as bad as being poor. How many people can afford to start families? I mean, it's the same in America too. The climate is very similar, but with us, it's even with careers that should pay a lot. Like, for example, cybersecurity and web development. I mean, it's understandable if in other countries like America, people that are doing menial jobs are not able to buy a car or start a family, which sucks. But if you've been studying, you're smart, and you've been studying for something like 10 years to become a cybersecurity specialist, you should be able to get to 6 figures per year. And that's it. Which is not the case in our country.
The subject that you pick matters more than the university you attend. While the worst US colleges provide their students with next to no value, in general, people who enroll in America's public universities.
Well, because people start studying stuff that are into. They are into a specific subject, so they start studying that subject. But when it comes to money, making a living, supply and demand, are the masters. They're the only thing that matters.
Cities get a better return on investment than students who go to the more prestigious private nonprofit ones, which, despite being nonprofits, tend to be significantly more expensive. Interestingly, research shows that men face a higher opportunity cost for attending university, as men are more likely to work in skilled trades like plumbing, electrical work, or construction, which offer high earnings without the need for a degree. The financial sacrifice of 4 years out of the workforce for them is harder to justify. As the glass-walled office door closes, another door opens to the warehouse, the construction site, and the classroom. Bloomberg reports that there's been a surge in applications for roles graduates once ignored, like substitute teachers and prison guards. According to the article, an Atlanta-based traffic flagging company now receives up to 80 job applications a week, compared with just 10 5 years ago. While the overall jobless rate remains fairly low at 4.3%, those out of work are lingering in unemployment for longer.
These are dream numbers in Italy. 4.3% unemployment rate. How much do we got in Italy? Well, no, it's 6%. Thought it was higher. There's the inactivity rate. Then there's the unemployment rate. They're different. I think inactivity means people that are studying, I guess, and that are retired. There are lots of old people in Italy, so the inactivity rate is about 33%. Yeah, it's because of old people. We already saw that red team professionals get paid up to $250,000 per year because it's not an easy job. And some entrepreneurs will like to hire you to do the same for something like, I don't know, 20K a year, 20K, 20, 30K maximum. Yeah, it's 30K max instead of 250K. It's really laughable. You can even buy a fucking car. I mean, you can get a used car to go to work and get back home. And after a year of working, your car breaks down and poof, the entirety of your yearly earnings goes straight out the window. So yeah, why work in the first place? Well, to gather experience so that you can move the fuck out of the country. That's why. It's always supply and demand. That's what people want. That's just the way it is.
Of these less glamorous jobs offer what many office roles no longer guarantee: stability. They are hard to automate, and turnover in these roles is falling. Paradoxically, the Zoom revolution that everyone was excited about in 2020 has reinforced the value of physical presence. Corporate travel is rebounding to pre-pandemic levels because businesses have rediscovered a simple truth: people buy from people. We thought that Zoom would kill business travel a few years ago, but it turns out that nobody closes a multi-million-dollar deal.
I don't know who said the problem with humanity is that we have emotions from the Paleolithic, institutions from the Middle Ages, and godlike technology. You're never gonna change the human nature. So yeah, doesn't matter how convenient a technology is, if it goes against the very basic tenets of human nature, it's never gonna become successful. Which is why I think LLMs are also why people are so enthusiastic about LLMs. The idea of not doing jack shit, of not thinking. But what happens is that millionaires got jobs, become even richer than they were. The tenants. It's not tenants. Tenants a la birra. They used to say, well, with LLMs, we will not work anymore. Well, yeah, you won't work anymore. You'll just be unemployed because there will be no jobs for you if you haven't really specialized with something that machines cannot do. If you become a very good red team professional, I don't think you'll ever have any issues. As long as we have Russians and Indian dudes doing all the cybercrime stuff, I don't think you will ever be out of a job. Sto cazzo di inglese, zio.
With a person who's secretly wearing pajama bottoms, unless, of course, you're selling pajama bottoms, in which case, great move. Sales roles, which require travel and face-to-face relationship building, remain robust against automation.
Yep. Learn sales. Learn fucking sales. There's a book, it's called Simple Selling, I guess. It's sales made simple. No, it's not even that. It's New Sales Simplified. This is the best book on sales I ever read. I highly recommend this book. Yep. New Sales Simplified. And then read also something on microeconomics. Yeah, something like that. The principles of microeconomics. Read this, read that, the other one, and then go do your IT stuff, and you'll be set for life.
The willingness to get on a plane is becoming a competitive advantage. While the job situation has been tough for college.
Oh, and be social. Make friends. Make friends that work in other businesses. And then, in 10, 20 years, if you're young, I don't know, you're 18 years old or something like that, go start doing your freelance stuff, start your company. You need to be adaptable. Gotta adapt or die.
Graduates in the Anglosphere, it's not a global problem. Southern Europe offers a surprising bright spot. Italy's graduate unemployment rate is at its lowest since records began in the 1990s.
Oh yeah?
Greece has fallen from 40% during the debt crisis to just over 10%. Spain and Portugal show stability or improvement. These economies avoided the tech and finance binge of the 2020s
I guess
and now benefit from
I wonder
EU
why.
recovery funds, stimulating demand for engineers and project managers. Corporate structures appear to be changing.
I think, well, it didn't explain that, but I think because we're so far behind with technology that it's really not a problem. I mean, they can barely operate a printer, most entrepreneurs here. Do you really think they're able to substitute employees with LLMs to do repetitive, stupid tasks? I think they're too technologically illiterate to be able to pull it off, to be honest. And I work for these companies. I know how it is.
To the American Society of Employers, the old pyramid-shaped organizational structure with a few senior executives at the top, more managers and high-value contributors in the middle, and then lots of entry-level workers at the bottom, is giving way to a diamond-shaped structure, which is lean at the base and fat in the middle. While a diamond structure might sound fancy,
a word of managers. Please, God, I pray for the thermonuclear holocaust. Please, God.
It really just means there's a bunch of stressed middle managers floating in midair with no one below them to fetch coffee or fix the formatting in their PowerPoint slides. The bottom rung of the ladder hasn't just been removed, it's been sold for scrap to pay the consultant who recommended removing it. Firms are heavy with mid-career specialists and hire fewer trainees than ever before. This saves on the expense of training today, but risks hollowing out leadership pipelines. According to the FT, some recruiters are warning that failing to hire juniors today puts a company's existence at risk.
This has been said by Ilario, my friend, on the Italian channel on Prime Red Sec ITA. There's an entire playlist. You can go check it out. You can turn on the subtitles in English. And it said just that. It's called Intervista a un full web dev senior. There are two people in the shot, in the thumbnails. You'll find it. Basically, this friend of mine, which has been a senior web developer for quite some time now, he said that exactly this. I mean, if there's no succession to older senior developers, because you're not hiring junior web developers that then become senior web developers. In 15 years, in 20 years, who's gonna code your app? Who's gonna maintain your app? Who's gonna scale your app? Chat GPT? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah.
Within 15 years. Dan Priest, the chief AI officer at PwC, told The Economist that the structure might eventually shift to an hourglass where AI hollows out middle management, essentially the opposite of what we're seeing today.
Yeah, nobody can predict the future. I can predict the future for you, and I'm quite often correct, which is the reason why they call me the prophet or the emperor. So I predict that this fucking bubble is gonna pop. It's gonna burst in something like, let me see, 5 years maximum. And everything's gonna go back to normal, and then they're gonna have the LLM, like, you know, some side thing that businesses have. But now they're throwing so much fuel on money and burning them with fucking LLMs. I mean, how much money is OpenAI losing? It's just a network of families, of people bullshitting other people to raise money. They're losing lots of money. They're producing basically trash that's for the most part useless, with the exception of very stupid menial tasks that deal with data. But I don't think that there will be many more uses for this. I think it's reaching, if it's not yet reached, its upper point, its limit. It cannot do much more. I mean, it's a stupid database that scrapes information either from the internet or from big data inputs, and tries to reassemble it. There's really nothing more to it.
This would allow AI native graduates to leapfrog into leadership. However, that optimism does rely on an entry mechanism that currently appears to be broken, and I'm not sure how likely this is.
I'm never a pessimist, because you will always find a solution when a new problem pops out. I mean, I've lived through so many doomsday scenarios in the past few years. You know, the COVID, GDPR in Italy, many new legislations in Europe that people were freaking about. To me, it's always been oh, there's been this change. Let me do this and this. And in 5 minutes it was solved. It's nonetheless interesting to watch these videos to get a look at what's been happening as of late.
Graduate jobs are by no means extinct, but they are scarcer, more competitive, and harder to get chosen for. To find one, you'll have to rely more on networking than on spinning up AI cover letters and making online applications. Geography, gender, and sector seem to all be shaping outcomes, and it matters much more today what subjects you choose to study. AI may be having an impact on graduate hiring, but economic uncertainty, credential inflation, and structural change are all playing important roles too. Despite the headwinds, the overall unemployment rate remains low by historical standards. If you're searching for a job, at least it's not during a recession, and it should work out for you. but you do need to adopt different strategies to separate yourself from the crowd. The paper ceiling is cracking, and your employability is not all down to academic qualifications anymore. The provable skills that you have matter.
I never had an academic qualification and always got the job that I wanted because I developed other skills, which is sales, knowing a little bit about microeconomics, trying to develop the actual hard skills, whether it was web development or it was system administration or cybersecurity. I just developed the hard skills, know how to make friends, know how to sell my skills, with GitHub projects, telling the interviewer about all of the other cool stuff that I had done or studied in the past 6 months with excitement and enthusiasm because I was passionate about the subject and I always got the job. The interviewer and the company is made of people. You need to be able to communicate effectively and persuasively with people, convincingly. You gotta talk convincingly. You gotta be self-assured. You gotta have lots of skills. I know you're an introvert. You gotta stop that and start acting more like an extrovert if you wanna get the job. Because you're competing with all the other guys that are shy, that aren't funny. You gotta do that. I'm an introvert myself. Look, I got 10,000 subscribers. You gotta become an extrovert, dude. Well, but I don't want to learn sales. Well, but I don't want to learn marketing. Well, but I don't want to learn this, and this. Yeah, I said all of that to myself too, but went and did it anyway.
Matter more than the credential itself. The skills in the highest demand today involve a mix of technical and human-centric abilities.
That it
Skilled
is.
tradespeople and specialist programmers remain in high demand.
Yeah.
The economy is not broken, but it is changing.
Specialized programmers. If you're a Laravel developer that knows React.js and Vue.js, don't worry. There are jobs. If you are a cybersecurity specialist with the OSCP certification, doesn't matter where the fuck you live in the world, you'll find a job. There are people that are still worried, that talk to me, that are worried that despite they have the highest qualifications for jobs for which there is incredible demand, well, that's just insecurity. That's just low self-esteem. Supply and demand don't fucking lie. They don't lie. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Be happy.
For graduates, adaptation is essential. This means mastering AI tools, building networks, and choosing resilient sectors that are likely to continue growing due to demographic trends, such as healthcare and advanced manufacturing. For employers, the question is whether short-term savings justify the long-term risk of not having a pipeline of qualified workers. For policymakers, the task is to align education.
Yeah, the companies that have morons for CEOs that are buying this AI bullshit. I mean, I will be happy that they lose everything because they deserve it. The fucking idiots.
With reality. The first rung on the career ladder is still there. It just takes more effort and more ingenuity to reach. If you found this video interesting, you should watch.
You're an ethical hacker. You have that kind of ingenuity. You'll pull it off. Stop complaining. If AI doesn't provide what is promised, the USA economy is doomed. If AI does provide what is promised, the USA economy is doomed. Nah, nothing is gonna change. Nothing ever changes. To which I reply with, nothing ever happens. This is the truth. This is the ultimate truth. Nothing ever happens. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. This is gonna become the thumbnail for the video. You will own nothing, consume AI slop, and become jobless. Listen, if everyone becomes jobless and no one has money to spend, what's gonna happen? It's the Hegelian dialect. Companies started using AI to filter applicants, so of course, applicants started using AI to submit cover letters. And so, the dead internet theory comes to life. So alive. As a Chinese, you guys are about 5 years behind the unemployment curve. Nobody learned from China that overproduction of university graduates leads to their unemployment. Well, at least your unemployment isn't 20% yet. Well, there's also a shit ton of people in China. This spring, my daughter graduated in the top 2% of her Stanford class, psychology major. She is currently unemployed. This is just a symptom. No one gives a shit about the services of psychology majors. That's it. No one cares. No one cares. No one finds it useful. Or at least the number of people that need their services isn't high enough. In fact, we live in it's a psychiatric hospital in the open. Most employers are wanting years of experience. When I came out of college as a welder, I'm an audio engineer who watched her industry automate as I studied. Yeah, happened to me too as a musician. I started studying to become proficient as a musician, and by the time I became a professional musician, there was no job, no nothing. No one cares. No one gives a shit about the services, about your services. Doesn't matter. You can be in the top 10 best musicians in the world. No one gives a shit. The future isn't bright. Scalability of the internet works more and more for the benefit of the rich and huge corporations. People will lose their independence more and more. Well, I think there's gonna be a very big cultural shift. And I've already been doing this for years now on many different sites. More and more people will become more like entrepreneurs. They will develop a very varied set of skills. It's not going to be as easy as it always been, and only the smartest and most adaptable people will be able to make it to the next generation. I mean, will be able to actually reproduce, to make enough money to have children. I think that with the technology advancements, people with higher IQs, the genes of having higher IQs will be selected. I don't think this is a problem. There are too many stupid people in the world. I think this is great. I mean, the obstacle is the way, so don't worry about it. If you're in IT, you really don't need to worry at all. At all. If you're studying to become, I don't know, a therapist, well, good luck to you, my friend. You're fucked. Literature, whatever it is, all important. They're all important. They're all very important and interesting, but it is what it is. So, let's close up the English part of this. I'll go back to Italian for 10 minutes and then we'll play something for an hour in English. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching the video. See you soon.